So I want to preface this story a little bit with some facts about my mom. She's kind of the central part of this story. She's a very fiery woman. She's very strong. She grew up in Brooklyn with a single mom in kind of a really rough neighborhood. So they didn't have a lot of money. She was sort of constantly fighting with people in her neighborhood. And to top it all off, she's only like 5'4", so she's very small and cute, but she's like absolutely insane, and she would totally admit to that. So keeping that in mind, when I was 18, I tore my ACL, which was definitely the most painful thing I've ever gone through. It was terrible. It was 10 days before my 18th birthday, and I had all these plans for my 18th birthday that just were completely ruined by the fact that I couldn't walk. But I tore my ACL while playing basketball, which I know sounds cool, but it was actually just really embarrassing. And my mom and my little sister watched me like crumble to the ground, and I actually tore my ACL and fractured my knee at the same time, so I was like rolling around the gym floor in pain in front of like 100 people. So that was pretty terrible. And then what's even worse is you have to go like immediately to the hospital after that, and then you have to go immediately into physical therapy because they want your knee to reduce swelling as much as it can before you get surgery. So literally the next day I'm going into my physical therapy appointment, and me and my mom had just come from, I went to a small private school, and we had like a Christmas ceremony every year, and this was my senior year, so it was our last Christmas ceremony, and my mom actually sang for me, and it was like a really serene, kind of calm moment, and it was really beautiful. She's a singer, so it was kind of a moment that we shared that put us in like a really kind of happy mood as we're walking into this physical therapy appointment. That mood was quickly shattered when we were at this Equinox where a long, really like 50-foot long hallway was like led to the physical therapy place. So I'm like crutching, I'd never used crutches before, like actually still in like some pain because it'd been like less than 24 hours. And we see coming towards us this woman like walking super intensely, and you know how you can just tell when someone's just gonna like bump into you and is not gonna care. So my mom of course sees that and completely boxes this woman out. So this woman like rams into my mom really hard. Just as we're leaving the elevator, it's like, you know, a foot of space that this woman like pushes through. So I like kind of a little bit topple, and if my mom hadn't done that, this woman would have actually just kicked my crutch and I would have probably fallen. So because the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, I of course had to say something to this woman. So I'm like, you couldn't have waited 5 seconds? And the biggest mistake she ever made was saying, no, actually I couldn't. So as soon as she said that, my mom goes, what the fuck? And she wraps around me and goes, I hope you can wait a while now because you're not going fucking anywhere. And she stands with her 2 hands like this in the elevator, holding the door, not letting up. And this woman's like, get the fuck out. Like, I need to pick up my son. Like, what are you doing, you bitch? Like, get out. My mom's like, I'm just hanging out. Like, I hope you have a really fun time in this elevator. And she's like, yeah, this'll teach. And so I'm getting kind of embarrassed. Needless to say, this is not the first time something like this has happened. So I'm like kind of crutching away, like, oh, I hope they just like stop fighting and it's fine. And so when I turn, I'm like, 5 feet away, I turn around, the first thing I see is this woman shove my mom, like hard out of the elevator, and I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, what should I do? I pick my crutch up. And then I was like, no, that's not the right decision. So I kind of kept walking, and I hear my mom go, are you out of your fucking mind, bitch? And I'm sorry, she's insane, she's not gonna But my mom jumps in the elevator now, like fully jumps, and I don't look back for a while because I'm like terrified, but I hear like they're fighting, like fully physically fighting. And I hear my mom going, you motherfucker! You motherfucker! Like, I'll destroy you, you fucking bitch, I'll kill you! And stuff like that. And so finally I turn around again with one last, and I see my mom have this woman by the shoulders, slamming her against the wall, like pretty hard. Again though, she's 5'4" and like 135 pounds, so it's not like she's doing that much damage probably. And but anyway, so I'm like, oh my god, like what is happening? And then this little bald, like Equinox man runs over after at least like 25 seconds of them like really fighting, and he's like, whoa, ladies, like break it up, and he pulls my mom out of the elevator, and then the elevator doors just shut, and this woman just leaves, and my mom was like, sorry, but she touched me first, and this guy was like, no, don't worry about it, she's the worst, like this always happens. And so it turns out this woman was like a notorious kind of bitch at Equinox, for lack of a better word, and I think my moral from this story is definitely not to physically fight. It's not something that I take after my mom, but one thing that I think she's always taught us, she has 4 daughters, is to stand up for ourselves kind of no matter what, and less about doing it in anger the way she did in this moment, and more about doing it for the principle of what's right and wrong, and not to take shit from anyone. That instance was a little extreme, but I think it's a good lesson to keep. Also, she, like I said, she's in the music industry, and she came from nothing, so kind of building herself up through that, she could have taken a lot of shit, and she didn't, and that's kind of how she got to the place that she's in now.